After the PBD podcast aired on apostasy in Islam, many people were confused and wanted to know if there really is a punishment for apostasy in Islam. This brought us on a quest to the Somerset Mall, Detroit. The Ahmadiyya Muslim youth of Mahmood Mosque have a question, a query that stirs minds and hearts alike. Is there any physical punishment, let alone death, for walking away from Islam? A question that echoes in the aisles of this mall, bouncing off the walls of American youth culture. Stay tuned as we uncover the answer, one opinion at a time.
So we're from the Ahmadiyya Muslim community. That's a religious sect of Islam. And we're here to just correct some misinformation about Islam. So the only question I have to ask you today is, what do you think the punishment for apostasy is in Islam, which is like leaving the faith?
What is the punishment?
Yeah.
I honestly don't know. I don't think it should be a punishment, honestly. I think we all should have free will to do whatever we like to do.
So Islam would actually agree with you. There's a lot of people who think that the punishment for apostasy is death, or that you'd be killed or something along those lines, but there's multiple verses in the Holy Quran that disprove that. There's one in particular that talks about people who accept the faith and then they leave the faith, and they accept the faith and they leave the faith, and they do it continuously. And if someone is allowed to accept the faith and then come back and then leave it and then come back, then obviously that disproves the notion that they should be killed for it, right? Otherwise they wouldn't be able to come back and leave and come back and continuously do it. So a lot of people think that the punishment is death, but that is completely wrong.
Yeah, I don't agree with that at all.
Yeah, I'm glad you do not.
I have no idea.
No idea? So the most common answer that people give is that the punishment is death, that if you leave Islam, you get killed, or the death penalty or something like that. Right. That's not true. Right? So basing it purely off Quranic verses and like hadiths, which are sayings of the Holy Prophet ﷺ, the actual punishment, physical punishment for apostasy, is that there just is no punishment for it. Right. There's one verse of the Holy Quran that talks about if a believer becomes a disbeliever and then dies as a disbeliever, what would end up happening to him in like the afterlife and stuff. Yeah. But the key word there is that it says if they die as a disbeliever, and that if kind of leaves room for them to go back to being a believer, because if they were to become a disbeliever and then killed immediately, then there would be no potential for them to die as a disbeliever. Okay, you understand?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So that's what do you think the punishment for apostasy is in Islam, which is like leaving the faith?
I'd have no clue.
No clue? So a lot of people think the physical punishment for apostasy is death, that if you leave Islam, you're supposed to be killed. I even checked it before this. The top Google search, if you just ask what is the punishment for apostasy, it says that the punishment is death. But the actual physical punishment is that there is no punishment for leaving the faith in Islam physically. There's a verse in the Holy Quran, it says there's no compulsion in religion. And that verse alone disproves any notion that there's some sort of physical punishment or forced death. There's no, people say it a lot. It's everywhere. There's so much misinformation about Islam, especially in regards to this topic, but hopefully
there's a lot going on.
Yeah, especially punishment for apostasy is in Islam, and apostasy is when you just leave the faith or you are no longer a Muslim.
I have no idea.
No idea? What do you think?
Death.
Death? So death is what most people believe. If you Google it, then the number one search that comes up is that it's basically a death penalty. But that is not supported by the Quran or hadith or anything like that. The real answer is that there's no physical punishment for apostasy in Islam. There's one verse of the Holy Quran that says there's no compulsion in religion, basically saying that there's nothing to force you one way or the other in regards to religion. So death is the answer people give. That's incorrect. That's misinformation. The real answer is there's no physical punishment.
All right.
So if someone who was a Muslim, then left the religion, what do you think their punishment would be physically?
I mean, it's their choice. I mean, at the end of the day, Allah's gonna do it. God's gonna do it however He feels. It's up to us.
Yeah, 100%. So a lot of people think, and even Google, there's so much misinformation that the punishment for apostasy is that you get killed or like it's a death penalty or something.
I don't believe that.
It's not. It's not true at all. So there's multiple hadiths, multiple verses of the Holy Quran that disprove it. One of them, there's like a story of a man who accepted Islam and did bathe at the hand of the Holy Prophet ﷺ, and then he was in the city of Medina, and then he got sick, and he was superstitious, so he thought that because he accepted Islam, God is punishing him by making him sick. So he tried to like leave Islam multiple times, and the Holy Prophet ﷺ knew that he was a superstitious person. So he was like, just don't leave Islam just yet. And eventually, that person just left Medina. That man was not hunted or killed or anything like that. So the Holy Prophet ﷺ had considered him to be someone who left the faith, but he did not chase him down or kill him or anything like that. And then there's other verses like there's no compulsion in religion. Obviously that on its own just says that there's nothing that forces you into religion one way or the other.
As you witnessed in this video, there is no earthly punishment for leaving the faith of Islam. Anyone who claims otherwise goes against the very teachings of the Islamic faith. Subscribe to our channel for more informative content on Islam. Don't forget to leave a comment.